Go. All right. Last time we learned about the relevance and the message from this week's Torah portion and the holiday of Tu B'Shvat and the idea of the Jewish people singing at Mount Sinai and also singing when they crossed over the sea, because that's what this topic of this week's Torah portion is, to singing, and especially the Rebbe stressed the idea of the journeys of the Jewish people in the desert. Why God had to do the journeys of the Jewish people in the desert, why they had to travel around in the desert. And even more, he stressed that it was supposed to be that after they received the Torah, which was supposed to have been 50 days after they left Egypt, but it ended up being much more than that because of they sinned with the golden calf and etc. But nevertheless, after they finished receiving the Torah, it was supposed to be a journey of 11 days from where they were to, to Israel, which can also be translated as 11 journeys. And instead, they made 40, they'd wandered around for 40 years, and they made 42 journeys. So the Rebbe said it's really not in a contradiction. The 42 journeys that they made contained in them the 11 journeys. And the Rebbe explains, what does it mean? That the whole entire creation, everything, the whole creation, spiritual creation, physical creation, was created in order that we should fix it, that we should improve it, that we should we should reveal the Creator in the creation. It's almost like, how God creates people, right? I mean, I'm just saying this on my own. How does he create people? He doesn't create finished people. He doesn't create people like Adam, that they're just created and they just, already mature and they know everything. God creates people, babies, and they have to be educated. They have to be educated. So they have to, the same thing, the world was created, originally the world was created that everybody knew everything. But after Adam ate from the tree, so the world has to be fixed up. So the world lost its awareness. It became immature. Right? After Adam ate from the tree, so the world sort of became immature, and it has to be educated. And especially the people in it have to be educated, and they have to educate themselves. And the power, what does it mean to educate it? To be aware that there's a creator and what the creator wants. What the creator wants. And what the creator wants is really what we want. What we deeply inside of ourselves, that's what we deeply really want. It's like if you buy a car from a distributor, you can take the car apart and you can use the pistons to crush potatoes with, which they could be really good, crushing things, but that's not what they were made to do. The same thing, we were made to do or act according to the manufacturer's instructions. But the problem is pistons, they don't have any free will, and so what if you decide to use it as a potato masher? But human beings are not that way. Human beings, it's like if a person decides he wants to be a rock, so he's missing all of his potential in the world. And also he's missing also his contribution that he can give to the world to fix up the world. Fix up the world. Good deeds, good thoughts, good speech. Okay. So that's the number 11. The number 11 represents the power of God to fix up the world, to reveal that the fact that the world is really good. And we won't be thinking about going to heaven, or we'll bring heaven down to earth, so to speak, even higher than heaven. How does 11 represent that? Because the world was created from 10 utterances, by means of God, who has what's called 10 aspects of godliness. And in it, that God gave the Torah, which is 10 commandments, but the one which is above them is the one God that creates the world, and the one God that gave the Torah, and it's the godliness of the world. That's the 11, number 11. Now there's a power inside of us that tells us that there's something more real than just what we see, and that we have the power to reveal that goodness of the world. Like when God created the world, right, on the sixth day, which seems to be even after Adam ate from the tree. God said he saw everything that he made, and it was very good, tov me'od, And then it says Shabbos came in. Then came in Shabbat. So Adam ate from the tree a few hours before Shabbat. So somehow or other, the world still remained essentially very good, but it became covered over. And that's our job is the 11, number 11 is to fix up the 10 aspects of the world, the 10 utterances that God created the world with, and the 10 aspects of God that he created the world with, etc. That's 11. What's the 42? The 42 represents the power of elevation. It's one of the powers of God, 42. Okay, so then we're going to talk about this 42 a little bit. Yesh lo, see if we can even add on more. Sha'amor la'il, that we talked about before. And who's going to fix it up totally is the Moshiach. By means of what? Education. And that's the Rebbe. The Rebbe he's the Moshiach, and he's educating us what to do, how to do it. Okay, here we go. Yesh lo, see if we can add on. Sha'amor la'il, that what we said before. Mudgash is also stressed in the name of this week's Torah Shabbos Parsha, which is called Shabbat Shirah. This is called the Sabbath of Song. Why? Because in it is the song that the Jewish people sang when they went across the sea. Shabbat Shira, this includes in all of the elevations which are by means of shir, called Bali Shir, Yotzim B'Shir, and Imshachim B'Shir. We talked about that before. There's a Mishnah in Shabbat that says that you're not allowed to put a burden on your animals. Your animals cannot work for you on Shabbat. You can't put a burden on your animal and let your animal carry something out, right? You want to bring your prayer book to synagogue, right? You can't put it on your dog and let your dog carry it. You can't do that. It's forbidden. On your dog, if it's a public domain, let's say, or a Carmelite. Anyway, you can't. You're not supposed to do it. You'll learn the details in the Shulchan Aruch. You're not supposed to do it. But if that thing that's on the animal is a garment of the animal, then it's permissible. It's part of the animal. If every day your animal goes out with a prayer book on his back for some reason or other, then if that's a natural thing, then you can do it. And then, of course, animals don't go out with prayer books on their back. But what they do go out is with a ring around their neck, and that ring is called a shear. And the word shear, an animal that is a bali shear, animals that always go out with this ring around their neck, so they can go out with their shear, and they can be drawn also with the shear. They can also be, you can grab hold of it and draw it. If there's a rope attached to it, whatever, you can drag, you can draw it with the shear. But the word shear also means song. So it says, any the Baal Shem Tov said, called Bali Shir. When a person sings Yotzim Basir, then you go out with that song, V'nimshachim, and you draw down godliness with the song, like we said before. A song. If the song is a song to God, then okay, Alpia, you do it like it's no Chakol Elios, that all of the elevations, it says the angels, for instance, are singing. Music, where does music come from? It says the angels sing. It's the angels is the music is a undulation, vibration of up and down, right? And so that's the whole idea of movement, life. There's two types of song. The song that we sing up to God, that's like the angels, they feel God, they want to go up to God. And then there's another type of a song, which we'll talk about that's a song that God sings to us. We'll get to that in a minute. That's what the Moshiach is going to be. Okay, this is all of the elevations come from this name of Mem Beit. Mem Beit is the 42 letters of a poem, which is Anabakoach. That Anabakoach is the poem which was corresponds, there's 42 words corresponding to the 42 letters, the 42 of the aspects of godliness, that's the whole thing of elevating, that a person wants to elevate himself to God. You feel there's something higher than you. It's got 42 letters and 42 words in it. And we say it, it's part of the prayers we say, but it's always part of the prayers that talks about the whole idea of prayer is that we elevate our energy to the Creator who's creating us. That's called the elevation. And this power of elevation, according to Kabbalah, is represented by this 42, this Mem Beit. And that's the 42 journeys that the Jewish people took in the desert. Similarly, is also all of the 42 journeys that the Jewish people took in the desert correspond to this name of elevation, which is then going from one level to another. Not being satisfied with where I am, understanding there must be a higher level of reality, of truth, than the one that I'm in. Going out of Egypt 42 times, so to speak, 42 aliyot. Each one is a little bit higher, a little bit more healthy, a little bit more aware than the one before, a little more mature. By means of working in this physical world and doing what God wants in what's called the desert, which this is the whole world. But then it was represented by just the desert. They were to the Jews by being in the desert and camping in these places. And when they camped, each campment that they made, even though it was, so to speak, only temporary, because their goal was to go to the land of Israel, but it was permanent because the Jews were there and they did commandments, which commandments are infinite. And they made blessings, they did whatever. So therefore, this gave an elevation to the. This is all begun in Shabbat Shira, in the song. This is the Sabbath of song that includes all of the elevations which are possible by means of song. Nichlalim, all of the elevations which come by these 42 journeys. That's really where the 42 journeys actually began. That's when they were free from Egypt. All their enemies were drowned, and they were free from Egypt, from the Egyptians. But more exactly, they were not. They were free from the physical, geographical place called Egypt, and also from the level of Egypt they were in then now. But Egypt, they themselves personally, inside, internally, had not been fixed up, which we see is evidenced by the fact that they worshiped the golden calf afterwards, right? They received the Torah, they worshiped the golden calf. So the fact of the matter is that the whole 2,000 years that we've been in exile since the temple was destroyed, we're also wandering around in the desert. And after we finish all this work of being in the exile for so long, this is another type of 42 journeys in the Midbar Amim, which includes also this Shabbat Shira, then we come to a new type of a song, Shir Chadash, a new song. And now we're going to get to this idea that all of the songs written in the Torah are feminine, Shirah. And there's one Shir Chadash that King David talks about, Shir Chadash, a new song, which is what the Moshiach is going to bring. Ita b'Mechilta. It says in the Mechilta. Mechilta is an expert, like a midrash on the Torah. Eser Shirot Hain. There are 10 songs. The first one was said when they left Egypt. The second one, when they left Egypt, they sang a song. The second song that they sang was when they were on the sea, like it says, Az Yashir Moshe, Hashishi, etc. It says that the sixth one, that's what Devorah said. That's this week's Haftorah. Like it says, B'Tashir Devorah Barak ben Avinoam. The 10th one is going to be in the future. Like it says, Shir Lashem, Shir Chadash. Like it says, sing to God a new song, but it doesn't say Shirah, feminine, Shir, a masculine, a song coming down from above to below. All the other songs, all of them are in feminine, feminine gender. Kashem Shenekeva Yoledes, just like a woman gives birth, Kach also Hachuos Sha'avru Haya Acharean Shibud. Just like all of the salvations that the Jewish people had, and they gave birth, but afterwards there was another time of imprisonment, right? All the time. So the Jewish people, they sang 9 songs of joy, freedom from the difficulties that they were in, and afterwards there was more problems that they had to go out from again. And when they got one out from them, they sang again. So each time that there was a redemption and they sang a song, as after that there was another imprisonment of the Jews, another problem. But Hachua, the salvation that's going to be in the future, there's not going to be afterward any troubles. Therefore, it says masculine. Masculine, it comes from God. It comes from God. It won't be, we won't have to give birth pains. That's going to be the time. How is it going to be such a thing like that? Because people will change. Simply the nature of people will change, that people will not be selfish. No one will be thinking about themselves. One of the differences between them, all the other 9 songs which are mentioned in the Torah And all the prayers that we pray today, feminine, this is going from the below to above. Feminine is the receiver, Mother Earth, receiver. Shahamakabel mitzanatzmo, that the singer, that the receiver itself, that's the feminine, desires to go out from its level and reach a higher level, which is not the case. The shir in the song, which is going to be in the future, there is mainly felt God. Milamai lamata, from above to below. Shal Yado, by means of this, Nasi to Dvekos, these colors be'elyon. There's an inclusion in the upper. Kolomar, in other words. Kolomar, in other words. Even though Shashir, She'inyano, Aliyah, Milamat, going from below to above, this is in a way that you feel, you have a longing for godliness, but the main thing is that you want to leave where you are and go to a higher level of reality, health, maturity, self realization, if you want to call it, what you really are, soul realization. And therefore, that goes from milos, from below to above. But then finally, when you reach this level, there's from above to below, lamata gan yachad, there can be also both of them both together. Okay, what's going on over here? The essence of what man is that man wants to move. Essence of any living thing, life. Life is growth. Life is growth. When a thing stops growing, the thing is not alive anymore. But on the other hand, the reason for growth is because you feel that there's something greater, that there's something more, I want to call it mature, more complete, more complete. What happens when we reach total completion? Let's say there's such a thing. Then we're going to stop being people? It says, no, there's still going to be this desire. How is it going to be expressed? It says that's what. So we'll still be people. We'll still have a desire to go from below to above, to improve, but nevertheless, everything will be perfect. So how can we work together? How can these work together? That's this whole idea of the Shabbos Shira of this Shabbat. And that's the number 10, the 10th song, masculine, coming from above to below. There is a completion of all of the other songs in a way of that went from below to above. And in addition to this, you can also feel that God is responding. This is the level. So feeling that God is responding, this is already that God is coming from a level which is above the 10. This is the 11. Unto Chad below b'chushman, the oneness of God. Let me give you an example. Maybe I can try to give you an example. Let's say an example. A person wants to be rich, right? This is a very common thing. People want money. So they want money, so they invest money. So the guy invests money and he makes it, his stocks succeed, and he makes $1 million. He doesn't want $1 million. He wants 2 million. He feels what $1 million is, and he sees people that are richer than him. So why not? So he invests that money, and now he's got $1 billion. So what's he going to do with the $1 billion? How many steaks can he eat? So he invests the money and he makes more money. And he invests the money, does good things with the money, and invests the money, right? So let's say that he invests the money, and one day they say, okay, now you have all the money in the world. You're the king. You're made the king of all of the world. He says, yeah, but that's just everything. It's got all the money. He's not even rich. He's not even called rich. There's no one to compare him to. No one else has anything. He's got everything. He says, but that's only the physical. What about the spiritual world? You're only going to live for a certain amount of time. What about that? So he says, okay, what can I do? All of a sudden he gets this blessing, all the physical worlds, all the spiritual worlds, all the angels, everything that belongs to him. That doesn't make any sense. Well, how can he get a thing like that? How could a person possibly get the rulership of all the heavens and the earth and everything like that? It has to be that it comes from a totally higher source. So that's what the Rebbe is saying. Even when, let's say in the future redemption, when we reach the number 10, all the time we're striving for higher awareness of the truth of what God is. Why is God creating the world? Why am I being created? What is the creator? What's going on? And we reach higher and higher levels of truth, like the angels. And then we realize the angels are also singing out. So we reach, let's say, the 10th level of truth, that God reveals himself. this 10th level of truth that we have everything, this has to come from something higher than the number 10. It has to come. How does the infinite God put his infinite awareness into me? I'm finite. How can this be? Right? What does it mean? I should just evaporate. How can it be that I receive? It says this must come from a level which is higher than the 10. In our example, this rich person, now he has control of all of the earth and the heavens, like King Solomon. It says he controlled knew all the secrets of all the angels and all the everything. That's because in the end, what was demanded from King Solomon was humility, to realize that it's all coming from this level which is above anything that's created. So let's say the whole creation, that comes from the number 10, and to feel the creator himself, that the creator gives me everything, that's the number 11. And this is available to everyone. One second, let me move this. Here we go. It's hidden behind. There we go. So it says that's the 10th song. The 10th song, this is an expression of the 11, of what's above the whole entire system. Yesh l'kasher this, we can also, this is the Shir HaShirim, the song, the book of King Solomon, which the book of King Solomon is called the Song of Songs. It says it's holy of holies. Like the Marsha says that there were 10 songs in the world, and the Shir HaShirim that King Solomon wrote, this was each of the 10 songs is above the other in spirituality. Like we said, the song the Jewish people sang when they left Egypt, the song that Dvar sang, etc. There's 10 songs. Kivin Shekula Kodesh, all the songs that are sung mentioned in the Torah, they're all holy. Asiri, the 10th of them, is Kodesh B'kol Makom Lamaila Mikulam. Is holier than all of them. That's what it says. This is not just holy, it's the Holy of Holies. That's the book called the Shir HaShirim, the Song of Songs. It was said, Shir Asiri, this is talking about the 10th song, which is going to be in the future. This is in the completion of all of the songs nowadays. Kol Aliyus, all of the elevations that there could possibly be. That's what the Shir HaShirim, the book of King Solomon, is hinting at. Kafisha Mikachrim, like it's hinted at with the new song, it's a Shir Chadash, a new song which is going to come from above to below, masculine song. Shinirgeshes, that will feel also the desire to cling to God and the inclusion of all of the upper worlds. And by means of this, we can come to the new song, Lashon Zachar, a masculine song in the future itself, which is above from all of even the 10 songs she wrote. Shir Shechol and Yana with the Bekas, the whole thing is the oneness of God. This is the Echad Asar. This is what's called the number 11, and that's what's hinted at by King Solomon, the Song of Songs. Like it says, you, God, are one, but you're not counted. According to what we said before, now we can explain the connection between Parshat Bashalach, when the Jewish people sang, and Yitro, when Yitro, the king of idolatry, right, the high priest of all the idolatry in the world, he praised the God of Israel. Now we can explain these two Torah portions, this week's Torah portion and next week's, to the whole idea of, to the time that we're reading this. And when is it? It's near the 10th day of Shvat. Now, the 10th day of Shvat is the day that the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe passed away, and the day that the Rebbe took over afterwards. And supposing that the previous Rebbe, and the Rebbe said it a lot of times, and the Rebbe is the Moshiach. So Moshiach is going to be a Jew, that he is going to usher in a new door, a new potential opportunity of awareness of God that wasn't there before, wasn't in existence before. That's Moshiach. So the previous Rebbe passed away on the number 10, and the Rebbe who took over also next year on the number 10, but really he took over the day after. He officially became the Rebbe on the 11th day of Shvat. This is the beginning, a new, this is the, I'm sorry, on the 10th. And when did this happen? The month of Shvat. With the month of Shvat, what I said is true. It took over the 11th, but this is saying the 11th day of Shvat, and Shvat itself is the 11th month. Ashtei Asar Chodesh U Chodesh As Shavat. The 11th month of the year, the last month of the year, the 12th month, is Adar, when Purim is. And the first month is the month after Adar. Then the month begins again. So the 11th month, this is the month of Shvat. This is relevant especially to the future redemption. That then there's going to be the revelation of the number 11. What do we say? The oneness of God, which is above all of the 10 sefirot. Therefore, in the month of Shvat, we come to the month of Adar, that in the month of Adar was the redemption. What redemption? The redemption of Purim. GEULA is a redemption from Ma'amad Matzav the Akati Achashverosh. It says even nowadays we are still the slaves of Achashverosh. That's one of the reasons we don't say Hallel on Purim. Or Mismach GEULA LeGEULA. Why we make Purim, if there's two Adars like there is this year, we make Purim in the second Adar. Because GEULA Adar, because the holiday of Purim is a redemption. And Passover is also redemption. That we went out of our troubles. So they want to make one redemption next to the other one. Purim and Pesach. In the month of Nisan, Shabo Nigalu, this is the month when the Jews got out of Egypt, then we are going to be redeemed. Like it says in the days going out of Egypt, I will show you miracles. Okay, so what are we talking about? Going out of the situation that we are in now, of the awareness that we are now, realizing that the situation that we're in now is not the way things are supposed to be. There's something much, much more real and true and healthy than the awareness we presently have of reality. And the desire to go out of our present state higher, that's called a song. That song elevates us. It says, but in the future, we are going to experience true reality. We'll experience the true value of this physical world, much infinitely higher and more real than all the spiritual worlds that are. It says that is represented by the number 11. A number 10 is the whole entire creation, spiritual, physical, the whole entire business, going out of problems, etc. That's number 10. The number 11 is going to be a gift from God. God is going to reveal to us, and that's the whole idea what Moshiach is going to bring. Moshiach is going to make this whole world into a vessel, to prepare the world to be ready for this big revelation of the 11. The Yesh Lo, if we're going to add on, also explaining the idea of the 11th day in regarding this whole month, which this month of Shvat is the 11th month. This 11 is in a way of Echad Yom. Remember, we talked about this as a sentence right in the beginning of the book of Deuteronomy, that the Jewish people that Israel was 11 days from Horeb. It was supposed to be 11 days from Mount Sinai. Echad Yom. And we said, why 11 days from? Because 11 is showing on this revelation, which is above all limitation, that gives us the ability to fix up the world. And that's the 11. That's a revelation by Yikra Elokim L'Or Yom. That's why it's called Echad Yom. 11 days. Day means revelations. Therefore, that's our job, is to reveal more godliness, more truth to ourselves. It should be revealed, not just to know that there is there. Number two, achiluk, the difference between chodesh liyom, the difference between the months and the days. It says Echad Asar Yom b'chodesh Echad Asar. That's what it says in the beginning of the book of Deuteronomy, that there were 11 days in the 11th month. What's the difference between month and day? The month is connected more to the moon. Day is connected more to the sun. From this, we see that the month, the 11th month, this shows on the 11th, number 11, how it is revealed to the moon, the receiver. And the 11th day, this is the 11th month. The 11th day, this is talking about God, 11 levels of revelation. So the highest level of revelation into the 11th month, which that's the moon, that's the receiver. The Rebbe is trying to tell us that it's possible and that it will certainly be that the highest level of godliness will be revealed in the lowest level of creation. From this, the 11 in the month, the 11th day in the 11th month, and then we can come to the 11th, the one that goes over the 10, Echad. Echad is the one, Echad is the numerical value of 13. Okay, this is not relevant to us this year. There was back then with the Rebbe that the 13th day of the month falls on Shabbos, and this day it didn't work out that way. Okay, I think we can skip over this. The Rebbe. Okay, here we go. Okay, the Maili Yatira, especially advantage of Tu B'Shvat, which Tu B'Shvat, that's the middle of the month of Shvat, right? The moon is full. That is it's called the first day. It's the New Year's Day for fruits. This is relevant to the idea of the tithe. You're supposed to give 1/10 of your if you're a farmer, or if the farmer didn't take 1/10 of his produce, as you're supposed to take 1/10 of the produce before you eat it. You're supposed to take 1/10 of it in the land of Israel and give 1/10 every year. You have to take. You can't take from one year on another year. When do you start counting? When does the year start? It starts on the 15th day of Shvat. And all this is relevant to the land of Israel. Kamudgash, like it's the customs of Israel to eat on the 15th day of Shvat fruits. Which fruits? The fruits which the land of Israel are praised in the Torah. We talked about this. Eretz Chita Asora, Geffen Te'en of Rimon, Eretz Zeit Shemen. Remember, we learned this in the beginning of the week. The Rebbe had a special speech that he gave about how the 7 types that the land of Israel is praised by is talking about 7 different types of service of us and the world. Eretz is the world, and we have to plow, we have to plant. How it says chita, you have to work on your godly soul. You have to so'ora is barley, you have to work on the animal soul. Geffen, you have to do it in a happy way. Te'ena, you have to fix up your thought, speech, and action. And Rimon, then you have to fix up the world, we said, like the commandments. And the second time is talking about serving God in exile. Remember, we learned that in the beginning of the week. In the exile, which Zayat and Zayat is bitterness. Zayat and Dvash means, it's talking about what sweetness, we can transform bitterness to sweetness. That's the ultimate. This is the whole idea of the land of Israel. What is the main thing of the land of Israel? What's the main thing of the land of Israel? That when all of the Jews will be gathered to the land of Israel in the future. And this is relevant. That's the true idea of the land of Israel when all the Jews are living there. And that's one of the accomplishments of Moshiach. This is especially relevant to the fruits of the land of Israel and the fruits that they were going to bring to the Holy Temple. This is mainly relevant to the idea of the fruits of the Torah. The fruits of the Torah, like we said before, that's the pleasure of the Torah. The secret meanings of the Torah. The inside of the Torah. The mysteries of the Torah. The godliness of the Torah. Like it's expressed that's the idea of the Dvash, the sweetness. That's the Dvash that it says the Dvash is hinting at the dates. But this is sweetness of the Torah. That's how dates are talked about when it's referring to one of the fruits of Israel are dates. It doesn't cause them dvash. It calls them dvash. It means that the honey, the sweetness that comes from the dates. Sharom is talking about the sweetness of the Torah. The main revelation is going to be of the inside of the Torah is what's called the new Torah that's going to be in the future. All of this is stressed on even more on the 10th day of the month and the 11th day of the month. Which month? The 11th month in this year. The 10th day of the month, the 11th month in our generation, the 10th day of the 11th month, in other words, the 10th day of Shvat, this is the day of the passing away of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. And this is made an elevation. What day that a great tzaddik passes away, this is an elevation of all the deeds that he did in his whole life. We've spoken about that before. A level which is higher and higher. it gives power to every single Jew to hold on to his Judaism, and even more to express his Judaism and to use his Judaism to improve the world and everything around him more and more and more, to defy the world and to transform the world. That's the previous Rebbe. And the power to do this was the day that he passed away, was all wrapped up together in one bundle and given to each one of us, and which is will bring us to an elevation which is unlimited, beginning with the previous Rebbe, Ba'al Yadon, by means of this, the elevating the whole entire generation. Like it says, after the head, the whole body goes. Like it's stressed, in the 10th day, you come to the 11th day. The 11th day, what is the 11th day? We just talked about the number 11 is the one that's over the 10th. Now, also that day, the 11th day, that was the day that the Rebbe, our Rebbe, took over. So this was a higher level of revelation of godliness and a new direction, a new type of leadership to inspire us to reveal who we really are. This is stressed even more when the 10th day falls on Wednesday, which is not this year. Okay, so we don't have to do the, back then it was the lesson to be learned from here. Okay, the completion in this is made in the 10th and the 11th day of the month of Shvat in this year. This is the years, back then, this is Tafshin Nun Dalid, which was 42 years after the previous Nun Beit. This is 42 years after the previous Rebbe passed away. Which this is 42 years, this is connected to the 42 journeys that the Jewish people made in the desert, Shema, 42 general, and this 42 journeys corresponds to this name of God, which is called the name of Mab, 42. Anabakoach, we said before in the beginning. By means of this is made the whole idea of elevations. Shekavar nishalmu kolalios. This is the idea that everything has already been completed. That the 42 days of the Hilula. 1 second. And this is the 42. I'm sorry, 42. 42 days of the Hilulu. What does this mean? I'm sorry, I did not prepare this. What's this? Okay, so this has to be explained. What is the 42 days of the Hilula? So somehow or other, there's 42 days after a person passes away. All the this is something, I'm sorry, I must have skipped over this. I didn't, okay. I didn't pay attention to this. Okay, in any case, it's connected to the 42. This is the 42 years from when the Rebbe passed away. The Kol Aliyos and every elevation by means of our work that we did in these 42 years from the time of the passing away of the previous Rebbe, which this is connected to the 42 journeys that the Jewish people made in the desert. And now we are in the last generation of the exile. Immediately, it should be that all the Jewish people will come into the land, which is good and wide, and the true redemption, that then there will be a revelation of the number 11 in this physical world. What are we supposed to do? What is this coming to tell us what we're supposed to do? Okay, let's try to finish. First of all, what does this mean? Action. What are we supposed to do? We should try to complete all of things which are relevant to the day of this passing away of the Rebbe, learning from the Torah of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, going in the ways of the previous Rebbe, helping other Jews, especially making Hasidic get-togethers with joy and song, like like the Rebbe, previous Rebbe's. Like it's known that we're giving special power by this Shabbat. With this Shabbat is the Shabbat of song. And the whole idea of song, as we said, is going out of your present awareness of who you think the world is, what you think the world is, and who you think you are, to a greater, higher level of realization of what a Jew is and the good which is in the Jew. Hahora Nosef, an additional thing, is serving in prayer. Praying is generally called song. When we pray, we should sing. Now, the Rebbe is talking about singing is talking about now there's certain groups in Judaism that when they pray, they sing, which is a very nice thing. Chabad doesn't usually, there's not too many songs that everybody sings together. Right? It's not a group. Prayer is not like a group song thing by Chabad. In any case, but there's a lot of music in Chabad, a lot of songs in Chabad, a lot of songs. And these songs, there's a group of them, which they express the longing of the soul to God. And these songs, if you learn them, one especially, for instance, it's a word in the Psalms that says, "You are my God, and I will praise you." You are my God, and I will elevate you. That's all the words. It's a song that you're singing to God, how great God is. When you say it, it's one thing. When you sing it, then the song elevates you. It opens up your heart, opens up a person's heart. The song elevates a person to the degree that God will react, and there'll be a new song in the future, especially when we should pray for the future redemption. And especially after the Rebbe says it's already finished, all the times that the redemption should have come, the general work is finished. We just have to prepare ourselves more and more and open ourselves personally up. But the redemption is already here, says the Rebbe. That in addition to the feeling and the desire and the longing for the future redemption, there has to be right now, the main thing, it has to be happiness. Why happiness? Because the fact of the matter is that any second, right now, this moment, the redemption is supposed to come right now, any instant. It's like if someone comes and says, "You won the big prize, you won $1 million," and you trust the person is saying, "Wow, I'm so happy." You didn't get the money yet, you didn't receive the money, but you're happy that the news is here. Says the Rebbe, the news is here, the redemption is here. We didn't get it. It's okay. It's going to be a little bit of time, but it's going to happen. And all the apparent confusion is just apparent. It's not really there. Not really. But we see that it is really there. But that's the whole idea of the redemption, is that our way of looking at the world is not proper. I mean, the way that, the terrible things that are happening now in the world, I mean, true, there's a lot of miracles. It's true. The whole world hates us. And nevertheless, we're still surviving. But still, there's a lot of very bad things happening. And there's a lot of, soldiers that are getting hurt and getting killed, God forbid. There's a lot of hatred around the world, a lot of fear, and a lot of but all this somehow or other, and don't ask me how, is only a veneer. And that we'll see that all of the Jews that died and that suffered through all the generations and the destruction of the first temple and the section of the second temple, the Jews that died in Egypt, and the Jews that died in all the pogroms and all this, somehow or other it'll be explained and understood that this is a really good thing, and we'll be happy. Wow, we're glad those bad things happened because it brought to this new type of good, which explains the whole business, right? How is this going to be? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me, but it will. Says the Rebbe, we can attach this especially to the 10th day of Shvat, which the 10th day of Shvat is the New Year's for trees. This is especially relevant to man. There's two types of man. Us, we're called man, and also the upper man. Like it says, Isaiah saw a man sitting on the throne. And it's because a man, it says in the Torah, is like the tree of a field. Man is compared to a tree. Like I said before, even though that sentence that said the man is compared to a tree, it actually means the opposite, right? Man is a tree. You should cut down trees, don't, right? You want to, you're making war against your enemy, is kill people. Don't kill trees. Trees are not people. But the sentence says that man is a tree. That's what it says. And especially the trees which are praised for the land of Israel. That it says the whole idea of the land of Israel is a desirous land. It desires to be attached to God. And it brings the people who go there a desire to be attached to God. There is in each and every one of them people, women, children, every detail of the land of Israel, the land of wheat and barley and grapes and figs and the pomegranates and olives and dates. All of the details, like we explained before in the beginning, the New Year's Day for trees the main thing is it has to be new. We have to renew everything. Everything we have to see is being created brand new by God, and we have to try to see the godliness in everything. How everything is a miracle, everything is a surprise, everything is a gift. Each and every person according to his ability. That's the idea of New Year. Every moment is new, and certainly we will use this get together that we're making in order, and also those that you make on Tu B'Shvat, in order to explain and to arouse others to do more Torah and more commandments, especially to arouse a desire and a longing for a joy, because you know that immediately all of the Jews are going to be in the land of Israel, and they're all going to eat from the fruits, and they should do all the commandments with in the ultimate completeness. May it be God's will, and this is the main thing. That even right now, before the 15th day of Shvat, which is already before this Shabbos comes, we should already be, should come, the Moshiach was called East Semach Shamo. The Moshiach is going to be called the plant. We pray it's Semach David. But Allah of Ne'amar, it says, Vakam Shevet, it says there will come a staff, a king that will rule the Jewish people with a staff. A choter, a branch will come out from Yishai. And Netzer Mishar Sov Yifrach, and it says in a sprout will come from it and grow. Yamud Melech mi Beit David, there will come a king from the house of King David. He'll fight the battles of God. He'll build the holy temple in its place, the holy temple. And that's waiting for, simply, immediately. And it'll come when the 11th day in the 11th month, on the 42nd day of the 42nd year from the passing of the previous Rebbe. And now, of course, this is Tafshin Mem base, which this is talking about 30 years ago. This is 32 years, 33 years ago. We'll take all of the Jews that are scattered around in this desert of the world to bring them all to Jerusalem, the holy city, and to the Holy Land, to the holy city, to the holy temple, the third temple. And then God will gather together again. He'll gather all of the Jewish people from all of the world in a way that our mouths will be filled with joy. Like it's hinted at in the two names of the previous Rebbe, Yosef Yitzchak means to be happy. And like it says in the song, like it says in the song that the Jewish people sang when they went over the sea, it says that God will bring us all, the Jewish people, to the holy mountain, and Mikdash Hashem, the holy temple of God, God will make it himself. And then God will rule forever and ever. That's what's supposed to happen. And after receiving the Torah, the completion of the giving of the Torah, the godliness of the Torah, will feel that the Torah is coming from God himself. And this should happen any moment, immediately, right now, God willing. So what is the Rebbe trying to do? The Rebbe is trying to make us crazy. The Rebbe is trying to make us realize that something that's so good is going to happen immediately. It's supposed to be here any second now. We've been saying this for 2,000 years. True, it's true. We have been saying it. But when it comes, we're going to see that it was all worthwhile. We're going to see that the whole thing was incredibly worthwhile. But the idea is we're supposed to be waiting impatiently for it to come. And interestingly, the Maimonides says that any Jew that does not wait impatiently for Mashiach to come, as he's denying the whole entire Torah. So we can say, okay, a non-religious Jew, we can understand he doesn't know what do you want from him. And even a religious Jew, he doesn't know all this stuff about it. But we know it. But let's say, you people, so I'm not convincing you so good, but I'm convinced, so there's no excuse for me not demanding every single instant and waiting for Mashiach to come, and being tremendously disappointed that it's not, that it hasn't happened, and being tremendously happy that it's announced that it's happening. Like I said, a person wins the lottery, say, you won the $1 million. Wonderful. When am I going to get it? Another soon. We'll call you back. Right? Hello, it's been a week and I haven't gotten the money. Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, yes. You're going to get it just another week. You won 100%. You can look at on this. You can see in this. You're going to get it. It's going to get to your bank. You go to this. Hello. Yes. A year has been gone by. I've been calling you every week. Oh, yes. Right. Of course. Excuse me, 2,000 years have gone by and I haven't received the money. Oh, I don't believe it. They didn't send it yet. But we know for sure it's going to happen, and it's supposed to happen any second. And that it has not happened up to now is a sign that it's really, 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 really late. And for sure, the time has not passed by. And God willing, any second, the whole thing is going to turn around and we will feel Mashiach now. And let's do now the Yom Yom. 1 second, I'll stop. Let's take the question.